snacks. What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snackettes? It's your boy Gage is here with jokes. Give me a double yo.
Yo, yo!
You are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today we have to discuss PlayStation State of Play. It started today, which technically is kicking off what used to be E3. E3. Not E3 is officially underway. We'll talk about our time at Big Lit Comic Con Nova from this past weekend. And we're going to talk about a movie called Dreams of Violets. I'll fill you in on what's going on with that when the time comes. But before we do that, jokes, you have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would get the link to our website up. Easiest way to follow us is to go there and or just, you know what, if you type in Loading Snacks these days,
you can Google us.
Generally, you will find us. Like if you just Google it, you can even Bing it. I don't know if I recommend it, unless you just want the extra points, which I always do. But when you're there, you can also go and support us on Patreon, where we have exclusive content that doesn't go anywhere else and early access to content that you can find everywhere else. Supporting us there, even if it's not monetary, still kind of helps us see what's going on. We love to get feedback and hear from the folks who are there directly, and doing that helps us continue to grow and go do more things that we can then bring to you. And on that note, it's time for the Patreon 619 Hall of Fame. Jokes, please.
Yes, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Indeed, we do. Shall we get started, jokes?
We shall.
Hook me up.
Number one.
Today, PlayStation hosted their State of Play. They, again, are now essentially making the choice, going first. This is a new thing for PlayStation. So before we even get into what happened at the State of Play and what things they showed, let's just talk about the place we're in with games and gaming and all of that jazz. Because it used to be for a very long time, Microsoft, Xbox always went on Sunday to kick off E3 week. They always ended up going first. And then Sony would follow up the following day and do something specifically destructive or targeted towards Xbox.
What was already said.
Right? You know what I mean? Or something like that. And then like Nintendo would just do what they do on like Tuesday or something like that. They'd come through and, you know, whatever. PlayStation has decided to jump out there before even Summer Game Fest, before Jeff Keighley and Summer Game Fest. And I think that's an important thing to do. Like, a lot of what this kind of stuff is about controlling the media and the narrative going forward, right? And when you go first and you give yourself that much space. So going on Tuesday, they could have gone yesterday or the day before. They could go Thursday, right before Summer Game Fest is, which is on Friday, right? They could do that. But this is giving them days, right, of media coverage and speculation and people wondering, is any of this stuff going to other places they show? And I think it's just an important step. But it also shows a change, a shift in the industry that, you know, PlayStation has kind of started to lean outside of, they were leaning outside of E3 anyway, but now they're kind of like, we're going to do us, and we're going to do what we can to take the wind out of the sails of everything else. Because now what people are saying is, if these are the things that were shown at PlayStation's conference before SGF, then what's left? What are they going to show there? Do they have something big or something major to show there? And so not only is the media coverage about what they did show, it's now about what they didn't show and what they might still have to show come Friday. which still means that that's a thing that will happen before Xbox does their showcase on Sunday, right? There's all kinds of game stuff that is happening right now. There's a lot of indie showcases and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, the major players being Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. Again, Nintendo kind of sits in their own realm.
Space, like
Um,
it's.
I think that this is an interesting change, an interesting move for them. Jokes, what do you think about them going first / this early?
I think it's a nice change of pace. Normally, I don't want to say they're on the defensive, but just like you said, like they always end up coming out after everybody else, and so there's like some type of insult or poke or whatever it may be. So I think
Right.
this is probably like it's a different start for PlayStation. I think it's a good way to change things up a little bit. Like I've only watched a brief part of the State of Play, but you could tell the format of it is a little bit different than what they've done with State of Plays in the past. Um, Obviously, having more people be visual when they're actually talking for one, but I think for them trying to find a different space, like clearly, the console wars type thing, I think we could probably kind of put out of the realm now. So them
Nope.
having to
Nope. Nope.
them
The console war is back on, bro. It's back on. Like it's on and pop. Like again, like we're supposed to be talking about the State of Play, but the reality of it is that let me go back. For those of you who've been around for a long time, what hasn't truly happened in a long time on this show is us going off the rails, and that's kind of key to who we are and what we do. So, welcome to the off the rails part of the show, y'all. Look, the console wars are back, bro. Like Microsoft, I think, was doing everything they could to kill the console wars. And I think PC was playing a major role in it. But like the console makers themselves beginning to say, like, there's a huge market out there in PC and we're missing that money, and putting their stuff on PC started to soften that. And then you had Microsoft and Xbox doing showcases where they were showing games and showing that those games, like showing PlayStation's logo, showing Nintendo's logo in those showcases, right? Which I think is so consumer friendly and so forward, right?
Definitely.
But the reality of it is, Matt Booty, who was on Xbox's podcast last week talking about like prep for the showcase and stuff like that, was asked if they were going to continue to show other companies' logos like in the showcase, and he was like, "Yeah, we're still doing the same thing." And people had a fit, right? And Asha Sharma went on Twitter and was like, "We hear you. For us to show other companies' logos in the showcases, that's our mistake, and we'll look at it going forward." Now, it doesn't mean they're going to remove it, but
Right.
they're saying like, "Hey, maybe we're gonna look." We already know that they're talking about going back to exclusivity, and she's like getting back to Xbox and what Xbox is and whatever. PlayStation pulling their stuff away from PC, and not like all of that stuff is happening. So like the fact that these things are where we are says to me that like, nah, dog, the console war is going back to where it was.
So console war 2? Like are we like
Yes.
Civil War in this right
Yes. Yes. Yes, bro. Yeah, because right now, like Microsoft announced a new handheld like yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, I guess Asus did, but basically an update, like an OLED version of the like that thing's got to be like $1,500.
I don't even
like,
want to know.
It's gonna be stupid. The Steam Deck just raised its price
Raise
by
their
like
prices.
40%, bro. Like $200, $250 per unit. Like console wars are on, bro. What's up, Kai? It's on,
chat.
bro. What's going on, Anna? Good to see you too. Alfonso, what up? It's
Rob Van
Rob, what up? This is not it's not going away, bro. And I'm gonna tell you what, I feel like this showcase, let me say this:
Mm.
the state of play, I don't think was good. I think it was like maybe a 7 at best. There was some good things, but like, leaks and stuff like that kind of always mess some of that stuff up. Truthfully, the biggest thing they had was God of War. And
God of War.
let me say this: God of War, a new God of War game, God of War Laufey, right? Following Kratos' wife, starring Deborah Ann Wall. Like, it's her. It looks like her. It's her. But I'm gonna be real with you, and like I'm here, like I'm here for the story.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, it just looks like more God of War, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
But
It's God of War with a woman. And look, it still looks dope. You know what I mean? And to a large extent, I'd rather play with somebody else than play with Kratos at this point, right? But it just looks like more God of War, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't look like or feel like they're doing anything new or innovative or whatever.
Right.
But cool, tell us some more story. You know what I mean? And let's get to it, right? That's really what their biggest thing was. They started the showcase with Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
We've known Wolverine was coming. We know how visceral it is. We know it's going to be bloody. We know, like, there's so much we do know. We did get some reveals. We get to see Jean Grey.
Jean Grey.
We get to see Omega Red. We get to see Sabretooth. Like, we get to, like, it's gonna be it's gonna be tough. Like, I'm here for it. You know what I mean? But the truth is, I didn't really need to see anymore. Like, I was already in.
I'm already
So,
in. Like, just
it's cool, right? You opened it up with that. Cool. I'm here with it. I'm not mad about that. The thing I was most excited, and this is not gonna make any sense, jokes. It's not gonna make any sense, though. The thing they showed at the PlayStation,
I'm hoping it's what I'm thinking, babe.
it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be. The thing I was most excited about was Stuntman Holland.
Stuntman. No, that is exactly what. Listen, Stuntman.
Hey,
Hey, look,
no.
I didn't watch it, but early on, I saw. Hey, listen, I saw a post about Stuntman, and you know when I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's BS." I was like, "That's some random person trying to get." I was like, "Oh my god, this zone is real."
Hey, bro, listen.
Hey,
I
hey,
love Stuntman.
I am in.
I love that game. That game is so good. And like, now having official vehicles, official movies, they're running at me. I was like, oh yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't give me Miami Vice and Kit from Knight Rider. Don't give me the DeLorean from Back to the Future and play the music in the background. Hey, bro, don't do that. They're doing it, and I'm in. And that's the thing I popped for of like everything. Again, I was excited for God of War because I'm like, that's it. I'm gonna play that. I'm sold. Wolverine again.
All those
I'm
typicals
in.
and like the good. But when you can pull something out like a Stuntman that we have not seen since PS2 at this point,
it's 3. It was 360.
it was 3. It made it to 3.
It was
Like
360 PS3.
like that is a cool franchise to bring back and hopefully do things
Oh, that
right.
joint works on backwards compatibility. Like, I'm about to re-download that joint. It's on the hard drive. It's on my hard drive. I don't actually need to re-download it. Like, it's on the drive. I just
Pretty sure I had that on like PS2. I don't think I ever got it on that.
It's not. Oh, you never got that. Oh yeah. We'll step your game up. Listen, and here's and look. I don't want to bring the PlayStation fans down. There's a lot to look forward to, and there was other cool stuff that was there. Right? They showed the new Onimusha. They showed some cool indie stuff. Like, there was a lot. Like, there was a lot that was there, and we're gonna do a deeper dive and get more into it in the Put a Pin in It podcast. That'll be exclusive for Patreon, but we are gonna deep dive into it, and like we'll get into some of the trailers and watch some of the stuff and get a chance to react, especially since jokes you didn't get to see some of it. So like we'll do that once this show is over. But again, as a whole, like it didn't set the world on fire. We got some new Marvel Tokon, which is fine. You know what I mean? But again, I don't even need more of that. I don't really need to see more of that. Like, just tell me what characters are going to be in it. and drop a release date and get out of my
Call it a
way.
day.
You know what I mean? So I can play. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really need anything else. So, I'm ready for what they're doing. It's cool. I'm just not like I'm not over the moon. You know what I mean about it.
Fair enough.
I thought it was decent. I like the presentation. I like the majority of what I saw. Um, I still think that they may have some
Something in
really
the keeping.
solid surprises coming for SGF. But I also think that like Keely's got a lot of power now, and I think that he's pulled some. You know what I mean? Like I'm expecting to see the third part of Final Fantasy VII at SGF.
It's about time.
And it seemed like it was either going to be at State of Play, or it's going to be at that. And I don't imagine it's going to be at
Keely
Xbox.
look right. Hey, listen, don't y'all put that on your own thing. That comes to me.
Correct. He just has a lot of pull now. But at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me wholeheartedly if it did actually show up at the Xbox showcase, only because I think that Square is now pushing to do. They're like very in the we are putting stuff on all platforms and we're not doing that exclusive thing anymore. And like, who knows exactly what the deal was that it did with Sony when they put it together for that, but it clearly wasn't the deal that was originally, supposed to be
What
in
up,
place.
Z?
So what up, Z? So it could show up there. And that would be what I think is probably the best way to signal to everyone the other two games are now available on the other platforms. When the third one comes out,
It will
you can
release
be caught up.
simultaneously
It'll be there for
across
everyone
the.
and you'll be able to play it. So like if you want to make that known so you can try to sell as many as possible up front, that's how you do it. Like you have to show it at another place. So it's either Friday or it's Sunday with Xbox, is what I think. Hook me up.
Number 2.
Over the weekend, we spent some time in Manassas, Virginia, at Big Lick Comic Con Nova. Pretty solid 2 days jokes. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
Okay. We hosted a panel. It was a comic book deep dive with some truly comic greats. Keith Williams, who you might know as a colorist from Web of Spider-Man, and just Rick Leonardi, who was co-creator of Spider-Man 2099. Yeah, I mean, and I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of last minute. Like it just kind of came together. Jokes did record the panel, so we'll get that up so you all can see. It was really good to just kind of talk to those guys about like what it was like for them when they started in the industry like 40 years ago, give or take. How things have changed, what some of their styles and things like that are like. It was a good time,
Agreed.
good conversation. We also hosted the cosplay competition, which again also always a good time. Some really incredible creative cosplay on display, both truthfully for they do like a cosplay parade, which is essentially anybody
Showcase.
who is
Anyone
in,
just wants
who
to.
has a cosplay on or whatever can just have an opportunity to go up on stage, have their picture taken and kind of, just show off for a minute for everybody that's there. Um, but then there's the competition, and the competition is like you got to go before the judges ahead of time, and they look at it. And you talk to them about what your process was like, how you made things, what you made, how long it took, like all that kind of stuff. And then they, come up and we present present the winners once everyone gets done, and it's always like a really big draw. People really enjoy it, and again, just seeing the creativity, that people have. But I also love seeing um just a wide variety of ages
Mm-hmm.
and styles and character choices, from anime to comic books to TV shows to video games to whatever, like all of the things that people are doing, in that realm, and having an opportunity to like showcase that. And um I really enjoy it. We had some incredible snack bites.
Snack bite, man. No, dog.
um
Snack bites. It's always a great time. When we can involve others to be a part of our snack bites. And at Big Lick, it was. You let one person try one thing, whether it's good or bad, and then that ends up just becoming a whole entire thing. Like, if we'd have kept going, like probably the whole entire guest row at a certain point would have probably been at us with snack bites the whole entire time.
I mean, you're not
It,
wrong. You're not wrong. It's funny because JD, who runs the convention, it's his convention, he came up to us and he was like,
uh-oh.
I don't know what you talking about. What chips? What chips you talking about, Zayna? What do you mean, speaking of where my chips at? What are you talking about? What chips?
What up, Kay?
What up, Kay? Um, what are these chips you speak of? Um, we he said to us, what you guys do is so special. Cause like everybody loves snacks. And like you just get people just talking to them, reminiscing about things, what
Mm-hmm.
they remember or whatever. And like we tried some odd. Actually, I have. Hold on.
Just
Don't
go ahead.
you, Zayna, leave me alone.
Hey, listen. She already. My 2 cans of Pringles, duh.
Hey. Don't start jokes. Don't start.
Hey,
Um,
listen. I'm just reading what she said.
just to show a few. So we did these ultimate garlic parmesan garlic parm Doritos, smoky bacon
Mm-hmm.
Pringles. There's another thing of Pringles. We're not even gonna get into that. This is the one.
This was the
This
this
is
was
the
the
one
weekend winner.
that made everybody go crazy. 7-layer dip Pringles. Now I'm gonna be real with you. It sounds nasty.
I 100% agree with you on that.
Star of
Turned
the
out to
show,
be
bro.
the best damn Pringles. I
Star of the show.
I can't like. There's we've had tons and tons of Pringles chips and all of that.
Sure.
I don't understand out of all of them why these ended up being the best of the best. Like,
Somehow, again, people were just caught off guard. Like,
oof, you better protect them.
nah, leave me alone, Slim. Don't come down here.
Oh, you
Frosty.
failed.
I meant to keep.
Oh, you
Meant to keep
failed.
what? The garlic parm. Um, the smoky bacon. So we started out. Usually, like the handlers that are there, like they
Mm-hmm.
know us. They, we always do snacks, share snacks and stuff with them. We started out sharing with Kim, one of the handlers who was
Mm-hmm.
there. She was there with Caitlin Robrock, who is the voice of Minnie Mouse, who
Mm-hmm.
was next to Goofy, the voice of Goofy,
Goofy.
um, Bill Farmer. She had a Pringle and was like, "This is the
Almost
most
lost it.
amazing." She was like, "I taste all 7 layers of Pringles." Next thing you know, he's eating them. And then Emily Swallow, who was there really representing kind of like a supernatural
Supernatural.
thing, like, but for like our audience, most of the people in our audience would know her as the armorer from the
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. Literally looked over at us and was like, "You didn't offer me Pringles. Here, have some, like here, have some Pringles, right?" Um, it just kind of turns into a thing, right? And then before, like, what else did we have? We had a bunch of stuff, bro. We had
Uh,
the
I had the two
Mountain Dew
Lays.
gummy
Matter of
worms.
fact.
We had the
Oh
Mountain
yeah,
Dew
we did
gummy
have
worms.
those. Those were actually pretty good. Those were pretty
Those
good.
were pretty solid.
I forget the garlic sauce Lay's chips, and what type of steak was that?
No, 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 no,
Um,
no. There was garlic. So we got we got garlic bread sun chips, but we
no, no,
didn't
no.
eat.
The garlic sauce Lay's, the
Oh,
ones we
oh, oh.
did. Yeah, the garlic sauce Lay's, and then the
Yeah,
steak.
yeah. There was like a
Thanks.
steak,
Argentinian steak
Argentinian steak.
with chimichurri.
Yeah, but then we had a bunch of those with a bunch of different hot sauces. Well, you did. I didn't do them with the hot sauce. We had the hot sauces. Speaking of which, I have here. I guess I should get those too. Hold on.
Yeah, because like those,
This is
not
turned into a whole
necessarily,
thing.
not necessarily the best. Like I'll give the garlic Lay's. Like I don't taste it. Like obviously it's a chip, it's a potato, but it tastes straight like a a decent. Nah, I say an okay mashed potato. Yeah,
So these were really
those.
good. The Mountain Dew. We did these with Shady Haze.
Mm-hmm.
And then our man Grindo, who, like, if you look, you saw a reel of us doing like testing some of the sauces.
Mm-hmm.
Gave us some sauces. Gindo's. Chris was cool. He was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, man, any snacks you have, bring them over. We were just trying with some hot sauce.
It,
It was cool watching him like taste something and be like, I think I got a hot sauce that'll go
yeah.
with that. But like, look out for our interview with him too, because it was
Mm-hmm.
really cool. Like he went through a 12-year period of basically creating a new hot sauce flavor every week. Every week for like 12 years. It's crazy. But yeah, anyway, we had a really good time.
Yeah.
As one does. Talked to a lot of people. Did a lot of networking, per usual. Set things up for the future, and what happened? Yeah, wait, yeah, where my son, my son chips at? Zaina, those are my son chips. But I might let you know when I open the bag.
You may get a chip.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, it was a good time. Joe, you have any final thoughts on Big Lick?
Great time. You know, this time it was in a different venue than what it had been the last few years.
Yeah.
And I would say I felt like the vibe there was pretty cool. It was nice to have more food options because obviously it's attached to a mall, so there was a food court, which I think was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for taking over, it was an at-home store, but clearly that at-home was huge. That was there for to take
Oh,
over.
yeah.
But I thought the venue was solid. As usual, great people. A lot of friends that we met, a lot of new people that were there. Solid go around for Big Lick.
I would agree. Hook me up.
Number 3.
All right, look, as one does, I need to jokes. I'm actually getting ready to send you a link.
Cool.
I should have sent it to you earlier, but
Yeah.
whatever. Don't hold my feet to the fire. I want to talk about. We should watch this trailer. I'm gonna send it to you. You drop the link.
Yep. Just got that one.
So we've had a lot of conversations about what's happening to the movie industry, especially from like from a standpoint of like physical theaters versus streaming and all that kind of stuff. And while we've talked about the consolidation of the industry, the stuff that's happened with Paramount and like all that kind of stuff, we haven't really dug into this specifically. But before we like go too far with it. I want to talk about what is happening with this particular film. So while we have steered away generally from like watching trailers and stuff in this space, and kind of moved that to the app, the Put a Pin in It podcast, just again because YouTube is really tricky when it comes to copyright and copyright strikes and like them blocking stuff and all that kind of stuff or whatever, and so it's just easier to not have to worry about that. Joe, let me know when you're ready with that trailer.
I'm good.
All right, let's do the trailer first, and then let's talk about it.
Cool.
رضا میدونستید بنفشه تنها گلیه که تو تاریکی رشد میکنه؟ ریشش نور نمیخواد، فقط یه ترک میخواد، یه شکاف تو زمین، همین.
زنین مامان پا نشی باز بری بیرون، تو رو خدا جون بابات نرو، تو رو خدا نرو.
اگر آزاد شد خوشحالی کن به جا من یا ما رو خالی کنید.
Jokes. So let's talk about this trailer for a second. So this film called Dreams of Violets has been entered and accepted in the Tribeca Film Festival. Is going to premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival. I don't know how familiar you are with Tribeca.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with it.
It's pretty well known. It's kind of a big deal, right, for a film to get in and to premiere there. What's special about this film is that it is 100% completely AI generated. Everything. It's a $2,000 budget, right? No actors, right? No actors, no equipment. Like, it's a big deal, right? The two guys that did this, it is a docudrama film directed by brothers Ash and Puya Kusha. The film made headlines for its innovative, low-cost production model and its poignant subject matter. It's a 75-minute movie. Again, it was produced in just 2 to 3 months for roughly $2,000. That's according to Rolling Stone. Again, no cameras, no living actors, no traditional film sets. The directors use a suite of AI tools, including Kling AI for video generation, Google Nano Banana for imagery and keyframes, and Claude AI for language editing. It's where we are. Now, it remains to be seen what people think about it once they've seen it after it premieres and how they talk about it. But these are the kinds of shifts that the industry is looking at. And obviously, we've had talks about AI and what it means for actors and actresses and all that kind of stuff. We've had some conversations about what it means for Hollywood and how it affects workflow and all that kind of stuff. This is a different thing. People seem to be, and I think understandably so, on one side of the fence or the other.
Yeah.
With this. You're either like, this is really cool technology, it's, great for blah, blah, blah. And there are other people who are like, this is terrible. there's no real life in it. It doesn't, whatever. And what I think is going to happen is there will be people who will see this at some point and have no idea that it's AI generated. And there will be people who will be moved. There will be people who will feel like when you say that AI can't do this, this, and this, here it is, right? And it still, to some extent, takes human prompts and human thought and whatever to look at it and get the shots right and, whatever. We don't even know if it makes sense. Like, I don't know. I can't say one way or the other. But I think it is a very, very telling thing because I believe that the expectation is that a place like Tribeca Film Festival, South by Southwest, like those places are places where like your indie filmmakers go, who again don't tend to have the big Hollywood budget and don't have, whatever, and you discover people there. But it would seem like the kind of place that would maybe shun something like this and say, no.
Agreed.
This is for like the real creatives and it's for whatever. At the same time, it is also a place where those filmmakers get to be experimental and do things that like Hollywood is afraid to take a chance on or won't try or whatever. And whether that is stop motion, claymation, animation, whether it's a found footage kind of thing like Blair Witch was, that then just kind of blew up into this thing that turns into something everybody's trying to do. Those things tend to be born in places that are small film festivals or even large film festivals like this. And so the significance to me of something like this being in this place, again, it can go one of two ways. It could be that it brings the whole house down and everybody's like, this is actually pretty solid, bro. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? And there are definitely going to be people who are naysayers and who are going to hate it because they know it's AI.
Yeah.
There are going to be people who are looking for the things that they can point out that go, oh, you can tell it's AI because look at this right here, or look at this little part right here, or whatever. And they might not be wrong, right? But is it still going to be that bad next year? Will it still be that bad the year after that? And I'm also kind of I have two minds on this. I don't know. The reality of it is, I don't know if I like Hollywood. I don't know if I like the movie industry and the machine that it is and what it does to the people to the creatives, to the people who do the really hard work behind the scenes and, whatever. I don't know if I really like what it does to the writers and how it treats the actors versus, I'm not sure that I'm a big fan of this machine that just kind of spits out sequels and doesn't really take chances on doing anything new or trying new IP or, whatever, right? Like a lot of our entertainment has gone that route. And as a creative and as a person who is really, really good friends with a lot of creatives, AI is one of those things that, like, I know people who are using it to do really creative things and or streamline their work. Things that would have taken them 2 hours to do now, they can do in 30 minutes because AI is assisting in doing some of those things or whatever, right? But I also look at this and I go, as bad as this might be, as terrible as it is, as many actors or actresses as this might take out of place because you're not paying a voiceover actor or actress, you're not paying a person to appear, but you're also not going through the red tape. You're not dealing with the city and the taxes and the license to shoot in this place or whatever. You're not dealing with any of that. It does make me think, like, I have friends who I know would love to take an IP that they have, that they created or whatever, that they've been pitching for years to the big guys, to the Netflixes and the Disneys and the Warner Brotherses and whatever, and getting turned down or whatever, simply because, not because it's not a good idea, but because as good as that idea is, we don't know if it's worth it for us to spend the money to make that idea, because will that great idea be profitable for us? Can we market it the right way? Can we get it in front of the right people? Is it lightning in a bottle? Like, how can we do that? But if those same people could just take that idea,
feed it into an algorithm and let it do the thing and get it off the
right?
ground.
And like here's the thing, it's still their original work,
Mm-hmm.
but now you're removing the budget constraint,
Yeah.
right? It's still their writing. It's still that, you know what I mean? Like, could you get that high quality production, right? And be able to use something like this to go, all right, you don't want to green light and give us a movie or our own animated show? We'll just do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like you remove a lot of the barriers. And that's truthfully what has happened in a lot of cases across entertainment anyway, because as technology has gotten better, you used to need to be able to afford instruments
Mm-hmm.
and learn how to play them if you wanted to make music. Then came sampling, and then that was expensive, and it's just got dumbed down, right? Like now you can do it all in a PC that ain't even all that expensive, or a laptop that isn't even really all that expensive. You can make beats, and somebody can go off and record something somewhere, and it's, you know, relatively easy. You don't need a super huge studio with all of the bells and whistles. You might need some money for marketing, but even that, right, has changed. And it's the same thing with a lot of movies and a lot of TV and a lot of creativity, because some of the people who are doing the best in Hollywood right now, take a Markiplier, take a Mr. Beast, right, who are making their money by just using the camera they got, shooting their stuff and uploading it to YouTube or putting it on Instagram or whatever. People are becoming internet famous, which is eroding Hollywood fame. There is no such thing as an A-list actor anymore, in my opinion. They're all just actors. Like they just fall kind of like, there are people who people just like are more likely to know who they are than other people, but you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of whatever. And so this could go one way or the other.
Yeah.
I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Jokes for real. But I know that, like, having had so many conversations with so many creatives over the years, listening to so many ideas, knowing so many people who have their own comic books and like work their fingers to the bone to try to make a thing happen, you know what I mean, or whatever. If you could just turn it in to that next thing and could visually at least be able to show people, this is what it would look like, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, look how good this is, you know what I mean? You might be green lighting your own.
Valid.
You look scared, jokes.
It is, because it's like I feel like there's so much, just like there's so many pros and cons. It's like, yeah, like the biggest thing, budgets. You know, being able to get the budgets out of the way to be out there. I think for 90% of anyone that's trying to do something, in honestly outside of Hollywood, anything for that matter, is the biggest constraint on anything. But it just, you take away, like, you can feed it into an algorithm, but now, you know, you don't need actors, you don't need any of that type of thing anymore. And it makes me, one, feel bad, you know, anyone that has, you know, gone to school for acting, you know, done all this, is like, that's pretty much out the window, because you could just feed it into a computer that can, like, it's hard to say that, you know, emotions and things like that, you know, AI is getting better, and I think there's great pluses that I believe AI can be used for, but it's like, when we are now in the possibility of taking away from those that are doing this for their livelihoods and things like that, it's, you know, it sucks. But when you're able to generate a full-on documentary type of thing, and it comes down to that conversation where, like, does an AI-driven movie deserve, like, its own category maybe that it goes into? Or do you consider it the same way, just like anything else? Like, it's one of those things that I know people are going to be on both sides of the fence for.
Sure.
But when you have, you know, a huge film festival that's allowing it in, which, I mean, at least means they are open of the fact of trying this different medium and the way that it is put together and the way that it's presented, I think that does show at least that openness on that side. Now, whether people there are going to accept it or whatever, that's something that's going to have to be seen, and we'll see how that comes about. But it at least shows the openness for it. And, you know, I'm open, but obviously I have my downsides to it, just because of the fact we have a couple humans that are behind here that are feeding in to the algorithm and all of that, but when you're taking away all your actors, your people that are behind scenes that are editing, doing lighting, and all of those different things that add to the elements of what makes a movie or like any of that stuff great, it's just gone. And you literally say, yeah, I just generated all this on my computer in 2 months. I get it.
I'm not. I'm just. I don't. Part of me is like, that's scary, and part of me is like, it's kind of dope. Like I'm just.
I know.
You know what I mean? It really is that thing that, again, it's very difficult for me. Like, even having just coming out of the episode we did last week talking with Susan Quilty, who's like, I don't really want to be famous. I just want to write books and have a good time writing books, and like I want to do well, but like I don't really want people like walking up to me and knowing who I am. But like, she has these ideas, these great books that she's writing, these wonderful stories that she's telling, and if there was a way for people to experience them, and I use myself as an example, right? Like, we've known Susan for quite some time, but I don't read novels, right? So I like her podcast because, again, I can listen to it. I like the stories. I like the idea behind it. Having a prompt, giving yourself a certain amount of time, and going in and knocking it out, and like just kind of seeing where the story goes. Like, I love that, right? The only book of hers that I actually know is her first book, and that's only because it just became an audiobook.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the way I need to experience that kind of a book, unless you make it a movie or you make it a show. You know what I mean? And so just the idea of being able to simply reach more people, to get great stories out to other people. Again, Rod, Van Blake is in the audience, you know what I mean? Is in the chat tonight, right? Who's got these great stories that he's telling, right? And like, again, we talk to people like him all the time who are like pitching to other people and working on the next thing and whatever. But like, if you could just take that idea and be like, you know what, I really want to cook it. I'm going to use this, this, and this. I'm going to spend a little bit of money and I'm going to put a show together. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to put a movie together and I'm just going to put it out there. I'll put it on YouTube or something like that. Is one of the things that I think is tricky. Zaina says, beyond the ethical questions in terms of taking jobs and things, you also have to consider the environmental ramifications of generative AI and its capabilities, which I can never get behind personally. Again, I totally understand that. There's
pluses and there's minuses, like.
Yeah, but like, but here's the other thing about it. Like, it's not to me, it's not always one-to-one. But the reality of it is, right? Generative AI is doing ridiculous amounts of damage to the environment and blah, like, it's all that kind of stuff, right, that's happening. But these people literally used to just blow up cars, destroy buildings, throw stuff off the sides of buildings, like take over entire towns, disrupt people's lives. Like, they've done so much damage to places, to things, to the environment or whatever, just because they was making movies. Because Hollywood will pay them and people want to see it. And so we need an explosion. So like, let's blow something up. They've been doing destructive things.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of making movies, just for the sake of entertainment for people and to make money, as long as Hollywood has existed. So while you're not wrong, at the same time, you don't have the same people going, you guys can't make movies like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, there is a line where it's like, we don't necessarily need to do things physically anymore, right? We have the capability to make movies and use special effects and pull an explosion or make something look like it's on fire or something like that. A lot of which is using AI in some ways, right? At the same time, it's hard to imagine that, like most other things, we don't find a way to streamline it in some manner, right? And get better at it so that it's not as destructive as it is. So many of the things that we do, have done, and continue to do started out far more destructive than they currently are, and it took somebody to say, nah, you can still do the same thing and you can do it another way and you can make it, but like somebody still has to push that envelope, you know what I mean, in the same way. And I'll be honest with you, the reality of it is people, as long as it's easier, people will do it.
People absolutely
Just
will.
people will do it. And again, it is like that same kind of ethical thing. Like I expect there to be people picketing at Tribeca Film Festival. I expect people to boycott. You know, like I'm dead. I'm so serious.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know
I
what I mean?
know.
Like I really do. Um, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes. Like people are losing their jobs doing all kinds of work left and
Yeah.
right. Certainly, people losing their jobs doing what I would consider more important work than acting or lighting actors on a film set. Not that they're not great jobs and that people aren't really good at it or work hard to do it, but like it's like people like working and all the other things that are happening in the world right now, and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, in combination with it, like there's so much of that to begin with. We'll see what happens, man. I'm not I expect for this to continue to be in the news for a bit longer,
Oh, a
is what
good
I'll
while.
say. You know what I mean about it. Um, Look, let's wrap up. What happened was last week's news is over. We're running a little short on time, so we're gonna do like a speed run um of our top 5 things. No pictures, no nothing. But here's the deal: Masters of the Universe is coming out this week, and I am a long time. Why you laughing, jokes? Don't laugh at me, dog. Why you
What?
laughing?
Long?
I'm a long time fan. I ain't say I'm a big fan. I was like as a kid, like man, I loved He-Man and everything that was He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have all the toys. I needed like it was just like it was the thing. It was, at the time it was probably He-Man and Spider-Man. As a matter of fact, they used to come on back to back when I was a kid. Um and this movie is I'm pretty sure it's gonna be trash. Jokes. I'm talking about like Beast Wars level trash.
Hey. Hold tight. Hold tight.
I'm listening.
No.
The movie that just came out. Jokes.
I'm good with that. Because that joint was bad.
The movie. Let me do something for you, Jokes. Let me just clarify something for everybody. Beast Wars isn't terrible as a whole. It's not like just bad. Beast Wars is terrible compared to the original Transformers. That's what it is. So like when I say Beast Wars is trash, that's like half a statement. Beast Wars is trash compared to G1 Transformers. Like that's the real statement. Like so like whatever. There's some decent episodes of Beast Wars that like, I've seen it a lot actually. I'm ashamed of it. But I've seen it a lot. But I watched it because, computer graphics at the time was like that and Reboot and
Yep.
you know. Anyway, Master of the Universe is probably going to be terrible. I'm 100% prepared for that. As a matter of fact, I don't even really want to see it, but I feel like I have to, so I'm gonna. But if you are also gonna make the mistake of going to see this movie, I feel like there are some characters who you really ought to know and have an understanding of. Because one of the things that I feel like is weird about what they're doing with this is they're really leaning into the Masters of the Universe thing, which like as a kid and when like this like when it first came out, like yes, Masters of the Universe was a thing, but it was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Like that's
Yeah.
So like, just call the joint He-Man. Like, but anyway, it makes me feel like maybe they're trying to lean into something else and not really be like. I'll tell you about that later. I think they're trying to do more with this and make it a bigger franchise as a whole. I'll be honest, the only reason why I think this is happening is because of the Barbie movie. I honestly believe the only reason why this He-Man movie is happening is because of the Barbie movie and the success of the Barbie movie. And that is because they are both Mattel properties.
Yeah.
China Man says it's gonna be bad. It will be bad, but Barbie should have been bad. It should have been bad, and it was not. And it looked like dolls in a dollhouse. It's stupid, but it's good. And so, like, I just feel like Mattel was like, man, that Barbie thing did so well.
What else we got back there we can pull out of the trunk?
Master of the Universe. Let's run this Master of the Universe. And it seems like they should at least be trying to make up for the 80s live action Dolph Lundgren He-Man in the Master of the Universe film that they did, because that joint was absolute garbage. Shannon said no, they picked the right director for it. She's good. I mean, yes, but that doesn't change the fact that the movie itself, like even just the concept of having a Barbie movie was like, what are you doing with this? Like, why? Like,
how many?
You know what I mean?
Did it
like,
take to get it green lit.
Yeah, like it just. Why would you do this? And I just think that like there's a certain level of stupidity, but like necessary silliness that allows like I am Knuff to be a thing, and people to like all of a sudden care about Ken. Like it just like it's a but Master of the Universe.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, well, it's good to see you here. I'm glad you're here. So we met at Comic-Con on Sunday. Here's what I think. I think it's important for you to know who He-Man is. So let me tell you who He-Man is. We're going to go through 5 characters I think you should know going in. He-Man, who is also Prince Adam, who is the son of King Randor. I shouldn't know this.
Why not?
I shouldn't know this. To be honest with you, they've changed some of this over time. So, like, what I'm getting ready to tell you, kind of take with a grain of salt. But like, He-Man is your titular character. Like, he's your main person. Prince Adam is supposed to be kind of cowardly and unassuming, and is by nature like shies away from conflict and that kind of stuff. And in this movie, it looks like they have sent him to Earth, which is kind of a thing from the first movie. But that's not what the lore was in the comic books or technically in the original animated show. But anyway, Prince Adam has the ability to use the Master Sword to turn himself into He-Man. It is technically an alter ego that is super powerful and so forth and so on. Important to know. Teela. Teela is sort of a love interest, but has become they've done the smart thing and gone away from sort of the damsel in distress. Like, she's a fighter. She is the adopted daughter of Man-at-Arms Duncan, who, like, we're not going to get into him right here, right now, technically. But is hand-to-hand combat expert, first on the battlefield, kind of, whatever, who is always kind of just barely in the know about who Prince Adam really is, kind of thing. Never see Prince Adam and He-Man in the same place at the same time, kind of thing. We got to talk about Skeletor. we got to try to get away from the memes of Skeletor. I love the memes of Skeletor.
Remember.
Skeletor is more or less an evil wizard, if you will, who wants control over the Master Sword, wants to be able to control Castle Grayskull, and wants to remove the sorceress from her place at Castle Grayskull so that he can essentially rule Eternia, which is where they live, which is the where they're from. Battle Cat, also known as Cringer. Cringe, as in shy, as in afraid of everything, don't want nothing to do with nothing. Happens to be who He-Man refers to as his trusty steed, even though he's not a horse. He's a cat. He's a green and yellow tiger cat. And when Prince Adam gets the power, he points the sword at Cringer, and Cringer becomes Battle Cat with battle armor or whatever. And to be honest with you, it's one of the coolest things I ever saw as a child, was turning Cringer into this deep voice growling, I ain't afraid of nothing kind of. I don't know how important Cringer / Battle Cat will be in this movie, but he's basically Adam's best friend. He is his dog, his man's best friend, but he's a cat. I wasn't going to talk about him, but we will. Instead of talking about the sorceress, let's talk about Man-at-Arms, because Man-at-Arms also has kind of a through line here in terms of his relationship to Teela and his relationship to Adam / He-Man. He is technically more of a father figure / teacher and so forth to Adam and He-Man than his own father, King Randor, because in traditional lore, Man-at-Arms is the only person besides the sorceress who knows the secret identity of Prince Adam being He-Man. So, like, he will kind of, like, cover and divert eyes so my man can go pull the sword and make that change real quick. But again, in lore, things have changed over time, and, like, you know, they've done a couple of reboot series, animated series, and there's been some stuff in the comics more recently that has kind of changed some of this, but more or less it has been like, well, we've known that Teela was his adopted daughter, but it is also come to light that, like, Teela is the actual daughter of the sorceress. It's a whole thing. There's a lot. There's a lot of lore, which could make it really good. And I'm going to be honest. I would highly recommend going and watching the most recent Netflix animated He-Man shows. They're really good. They're actually really good. And I was very...
Is the Netflix one like a reboot, or is it like a continuation of, like, the original?
It would be a reboot. It basically starts from scratch and gives you, like, full background on, like, Skeletor and how he has a head but not a face, like how he's a talking skeleton and the rest of him is alive. Like, you get, like, a lot of that background story, and it does change a lot of what the initial lore is, but, like, it's really well done. The pacing of the show is really good. It's, I think, highly worth checking out and getting into, and I'm expecting that it's going to be way better than what this is. Because what I will tell you about what this movie that I already don't like, again, is the fact that they're going to Earth. And that, like, Adam is supposed to, like, not know really who he is or what's going on, which is kind of a combination of what happened with She-Ra, who I also think might end up being a thing. I have this weird feeling that, like, She-Ra is going to show up in some capacity in this movie, even if it's just like an Easter egg or something like that at the end that leads to what this is. But in the original cartoon lore, when they did the He-Man animated movie, which was technically just like a couple of episodes or whatever put together, they reveal that Adam has a twin sister named Aurora, and she was kidnapped by Hordak, who was essentially their Skeletor, and taken to a different planet called Etheria. So there's Eternia and there's Etheria, and she's lived on Etheria, and then He-Man ends up going there and finding her, and she has her own sword and the whole thing, and she has a flying Pegasus, you know what I mean, and she can point her sword at and all that kind of stuff. And like her like kind of sidekick main person is a guy instead of a girl named Teela. She's got a guy named Bo. It's a whole thing, jokes. Like I know a lot. It's you know what I mean? Like it's real over here. Um I am not expecting this to be good at all. However, I am expecting to enjoy some parts of this for some reason.
Sounds about right.
We'll see how it turns out. Again, the Put a Pin in It podcast, Jokes and I are going to spend some time looking at some of the trailers that dropped today from the PlayStation State of Play. There was actually a couple of other things that were dropped today and yesterday. Jokes that we kind of need to talk about, but we're going to do that and dig into some of that stuff. So for the Patreon members, Put a Pin in It podcast, that's where you really get to kind of hear a deep dive and see us kind of look at and react to some of the trailers and stuff that dropped today. Because again, like the Wolverine extended gameplay trailer is really good. There's a lot happening there. And the God of War Laufey trailer is also really, really extensive and it looks incredible. So we'll talk about that there. Here's how I want to close out. Let me start by saying Happy Pride. We have some new Pride shirts that are going up. They're almost identical to the ones that we have. They're just a slightly different design, updated for this year. You will see a post regarding those on our Instagram within like the next day or so, but they should be available to get. Actually, they might be up now. I had to check it in a minute. Sometimes when you push them through our marketplace, like it does some checks and stuff like that. Sometimes they don't go live. So even though technically it's in and it's ready to go, sometimes it doesn't go live, even though it might have to go through some checks and stuff like that. But anyway, in the next couple of days, and again, you'll see a post about that. So happy Pride, super important. I'm gonna make that clear. Again, it's no longer May. It's no longer Mental Health Awareness Month. But please mind your mental health. If you're supposed to take medicine, take your medicine. If you need someone to talk to, find someone to talk to. If that might happen to be one of us, reach out. We'd love to talk to you and try to help out in any way we can. Find places like BetterHelp and stuff like that. But take it seriously. If you're feeling some kind of way, do something about it. Not something bad about it. Let's work on it. Upcoming events. So we are like 3 weeks out from StellarCon in Catonsville. It's happening on June 27th. We'll be there. We don't know exactly what the capacity of what we'll be doing there is, but you will see us on stage hosting some things. And we'll be doing our normal kind of running around and shooting interviews and talking to people and that kind of stuff while we are there. But that is kind of our next big thing. Look for some additional coverage over the next few days, some reels and stuff like that. Again, we're looking at what is essentially E3 week now, condensed into what is Summer Game Fest. So again, we have PlayStation this week, but we have the Xbox showcase along with their Gears of War E-Day presentation happening on Sunday. So if you don't see something before Tuesday, just know that we're gonna have to talk about that on Tuesday. And while I haven't seen that Nintendo has announced anything, it wouldn't surprise me if they just are like the last thing they did. They announced the day before. It was like tomorrow we're gonna have a direct. So who knows?
Oh, by the way, guys, we forgot we're gonna be sending you guys it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So look for some additional coverage on that. Kind of get your heads right about joining us next week as we kind of talk about some of the stuff that we've seen game-wise. I'm really interested in seeing whether or not I think Microsoft is going to have. I think they're going to have hardware. I think they're going to have hardware. It's interesting that they announced the new handheld already. But I don't. It's hard for me to imagine that we're gonna get into an E3 or the Summer Game Fest time frame with a new person in charge on the 25th anniversary of Xbox, and they're not going to do something related to hardware. It could be another controller. They did a 20th anniversary controller.
I was going to say
We've
25th
already seen
anniversary
it,
console,
the
maybe.
leaks. They could do a console, but that thing's going to be so expensive. I don't know.
Normally be about those, but this may be the one that gets passed up.
They announced technically the handheld they announced yesterday is also for the 20th, because it's also ROG 20th anniversary. So it just seems like there, should be something. And again, we've seen leaks of like what appears to be the Elite 3. So we'll see. But I think we're going to see hardware. Now, will we see an actual version of the Helix console? Maybe.
Crazy.
I think if Microsoft can find a way to put a new console in front of people to be available when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, they're going to
listen.
If they
the earlier you tell us, the better, because that can let me be prepared and get my bank account ready.
Well, I think that's what they want everybody to do. And people are going to buy PlayStation 5 Pros. They will spend the money to play Grand Theft Auto 6 like this is no, and you're not going to be able to play it anywhere else. It's going to be Xbox, PlayStation, and that's it. It's not going to be on PC, and it certainly isn't going to run on Switch. So if people want to play it, they're going to play it on the thing that they can get at the best price or with the best look. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they're like, hey, we pushed Fable out the way. They canceled that, and that's going to next year.
That's next year. Hey, listen, I can only imagine the conversation. When Grand Theft said, "Yeah, we're dropping in November," and Fable them sitting there like, "Damn it, y'all, we can't do this now."
I need to get out of the way anyway. So, yeah. So, look for that. Jokes. Yeah. Got anything else? What's going on with the Finisher?
Other than that, of course, the latest episode of the Finisher is already available. Me and myself, Marcus, we do have a good old conversation about the El Grande Americano War. The match has already happened, so when you guys watch, you'll get a little bit of our insight of what we thought. And I will tell you this, if you have not gone and seen that match, I highly recommend that you watch El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano, because that joint right now is in the running for match of the year. And I don't mean just from WWE standpoint, I mean wrestling as a whole. I would highly implore you go. If you don't have, it's on YouTube, because when they stream from AAA from Mexico, it's on YouTube. I do know they also have it on Netflix actually as well too, because it aired after Raw went off this past Monday.
Quite bloody. That's what I
would highly recommend going and watching that match. But we have a good old conversation on our thoughts for it and the two guys that are under those masks and what we think is in the future for them, because they showed out in this match, and I'm really looking forward to see what the two of them do for the future.
Cool. If you're not already following the Finisher podcast on IG, please do that. That's just like if you're a wrestling person or you know people who are wrestling people, that's the place to be. Please go and check that out. Jokes, can we shut it down?
I think we can shut things down.
Please tell the people what I need them to know.
Just say it like Skeletor. Remember, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we're out. Toodles and loos.
Loading snacks.